All right, backpackers, this is Juan from Juan Backpacks, and I'm here today with the 5 pieces of gear that I'm most excited about as I'm rolling into the 2023 backpacking season. I don't know that really for me there's a season because I'm backpacking pretty much year round, but I guess after the first year, that's the start of a new season, right? So let's go ahead and dive into these 5 items I'm really excited about for the 2023 backpacking season. The first one is the Gossamer Gear LT5 carbon trekking poles. This was a splurge item for me. I didn't really need a new pair of trekking poles, but I was like, hey, I'm gonna do it. These things are 10 ounces for both of them, super lightweight. I've actually got a first look video if you want to know a little bit more about why I chose these, but I'm really excited about bringing these into my kit for the year. I really think I'm gonna like them. And so I'm throwing them out here, and once I get about 300 miles on them, you will see definitely a full review on these trekking poles. So go over to the Gossamer Gear's website and go check out the details, or jump over to my video, which is a first look video. So the next 4 pieces of item I've got are really clothing items. I'm huge on clothing systems. I'm a longtime outdoorsman, fly fish, hunting, winter, all these things in the winter time, kayaking in the winter. And so I know how to layer up. I know good gear when I see it because I've had to use it. When you paddle a kayak in single digit temperatures, you got to know how to layer, and you got to know what clothing works and what doesn't work. And so basically, I've leaned on 2 companies over the years. It got nothing to do with these 2 companies in terms of my outdoor pursuits and backpacking, fly fishing, and other things like that. That is KUIU. They're a company out of California, I believe, and they produce clothing systems for backcountry hunting. And they need to make them as light as possible. So they're excellent for backpacking because they're so darn light. I've got a down jacket from them that's super warm that I use in the Sierra. And that thing weighs around 6.5 ounces. Crazy, crazy light. The other company that I've shifted to in my backpacking is Outdoor Vitals. They've jumped into the game of developing out clothing pieces that work together as a system, so that once you have some clothing pieces like that lined up, you can vary those clothing pieces depending on the kind of weather you expect and the temperatures you expect. And so I'm really excited about what they're doing. And so I'm bringing some of their clothing items into my backpacking system for the 2023 season. And let's talk about the first piece of gear that I have on right now. It's their Altitude Sun hoodie. This Altitude Sun hoodie comes in at 4 ounces. 4 ounces. It's designed for, obviously, hiking in the summer, backpacking in the summer, and it's designed to keep you cool in really hot conditions. I've got it on now, and I can tell already that I can feel the air drafts coming through and literally cooling me right now under these hot lights, and it feels really good. The hood, I've got a YouTube video on my channel that goes over a first look of this, but you can see the hood here. I love their hood designs on all their pieces, their clothing pieces, because they stay on whether you have a hat on or not. The way they're shaped, the elastic around them, they're excellent. But I can tell this is going to be a really nice piece of gear moving forward. It comes in on the website right now retailing at $50, so it's not too bad for a really ultralight 4-ounce sun hoodie, and that's at a medium size. So that's the first piece of gear that I'm really excited about. The second piece of gear that I'm really excited about is their new rain jacket that they just recently launched, and I got in on that first round. This is the Tusher rain jacket by Outdoor Vitals. This rain jacket in medium, which I do have a medium on right now, comes in at 7.4 ounces. Just for comparison, I am 5'5" and about 180 pounds. So I've got broad shoulders, and I'm definitely shaped different than most people. So I'm not one probably to give you recommendations on size. You probably want to talk to them. But at any rate, this is a medium jacket, and it is definitely athletic cut. And so you can see that it's really nice athletic cut. It's low in the back here, so that when you're bending over doing things at camp, setting up your tent, so forth, you don't have the back riding up. The big thing about this, again, I think the 2 biggest things are the hood. The way it's designed, it stays on your head really easily, even when you don't want to zip this up, say you're venting heat, you can do that. And obviously the pit zips are tremendous. I've used this trail running so far. I've used it road running, and I've used it for some backpacking. Not enough miles yet to really do a full review, but I do have a first look video on this from the field, like my first impressions from the field. So you can go check out that video on my YouTube channel right here. So that's the Ventus hoodie, or I'm sorry, that's the two-shirt rain jacket by Outdoor Vitals. The next piece of clothing is a synthetic down that acts a lot like down. It actually looks like down when you see it in their videos, and it's really kind of water repellent, but obviously not waterproof. And it maintains its loft even when it does get wet. And I really needed a synthetic puffy. Like I said earlier, I got a Kuiu down puffy that I use that I'm very happy with, but I wanted something for the winter, like down to about 20 degrees, and something that would resist water, rain, and other weather here in Pennsylvania. I made a promise to myself this year that I would do more backpacking in Pennsylvania. In the last 4 years, I probably put more miles out in the Sierra than I have in my home state of Pennsylvania. And here it gets wet, it gets damp, it rains, it sleets, it snows. As a matter of fact, my last trip on the Black Forest Trail that I did, it rained, it sleeted, it snowed like every single day, all three of those things. It was crazy. So this puffy is their Loft Tech Ultralight Puffy by, again, Outdoor Vitals, and it's got some pretty good design features. I have not done a first look video on this yet, but I will. So I'm not going to dive into detail here, but it's super warm. It's super warm. It's got pit zips too. It's a puffy with pit zips. I like that because sometimes when it's really cold out, you might want to start your puffy. I try to avoid it, but there are times like it's super cold. I'll give you an example. When I was going up Mount Whitney, when I did the High Sierra Trail just this July, we had to wear our puffies because, I mean, it was super cold. It was probably under 30 degrees when we were going up there. That was in July. And we had to go up the mountain, obviously, hiking up the mountain. And it would have been nice to be able to vent my puffy because I needed it. I definitely needed it because of the wind and the cold. But it would have been nice to be able to vent. So you can vent this if you need to wear your puffy. And then the hood, again, that hood design that goes across all their garments is just like key. And I've used this hood at camp already. I've used this during a recent hike on the Black Forest Trail in Pennsylvania, and it performed excellent, and I'm very happy with it. It's somewhat of an athletic cut. I think the first versions of this jacket may have been more boxy, but this one definitely narrows down in the midsection here. Again, this one is actually large because I wanted it to be able to fit a couple layers underneath this if I needed to. And so I got this one in a large instead of a medium. And I can't fit my rain jacket over top of this, which sometimes I do in the winter time, but I would just use, say, a Frog Togs, a cheap 5-ounce Frog Togs to go over top of my puffy if I really felt like I needed that. But I feel like this thing so far has been really good. Again, it's synthetic, and that's really what I was going for. Something synthetic that could get wet here in Pennsylvania and still keep me warm. Now, the last piece of gear is a clothing piece of gear, but it's not something you wear while you're hiking. This last piece of gear, also by Outdoor Vitals, man, they got a lot of my money this year. Let me back up a minute. The puffy that I had, it was on clearance for $114. I just recently got it. It's 11.5 ounces. Sorry, forgot to mention that. So it's 11.5 ounces, so it's definitely heavier than my down puffy, but because it has a hood, because it is synthetic, those are big reasons for me to have something like that. And I'll take a little bit of a weight hit, which isn't much. I mean, still under 12 ounces. And so I'm happy with that weight to performance ratio. The last piece of gear that I'm going to throw out there is the Loft Tech Hybrid Booties by Outdoor Vitals. And honestly, they're 3.5 ounces. They're about $50. And it's that Loft Tech synthetic down, that, fake down, I guess. And so you don't have to really worry about them getting wet and not keeping your feet, warm. And so I actually borrowed a set of these that I bought for my son last Christmas. I did a trip recently when it was going to be like at 20 degrees at nighttime. And so I borrowed a set of these. And as soon as I use them at night, and I don't really get cold feet, but at night, but I thought it'd be just maybe another comfort thing. And I tried them and I really liked them. They kept my feet really comfortable and really warm. And I really liked them. So I picked up a pair for myself. So now I got to give my sons back since I borrowed them. And then I'm going to keep these, the new ones I just got. So these are the Lofttech Hybrid Booties. They come in 3.5 ounces. They retail for around $49 right now as this video is being made on the Outdoor Vitals website. Again, another piece of gear that I really like being synthetic because I'm here on the East Coast where it tends to be damp and cold and rainy even in the wintertime. And so I feel like to make sure that I have the right gear for these conditions that I go with this synthetic. Again, if I was out in the Sierra, and that was where most of my winter trips would be, which they're not, I'd probably go for down in those conditions because it's a little bit drier out there most of the time. So at any rate, those are the 5 pieces of gear that I'm bringing into 2023 that I'm really excited about. If you have some gear that you're really excited about, post it down below. If you have any experience with any of these pieces of gear I talked about, I'd like to hear about it too. Post it down below. So until next time, backpackers, get out there and do some backpacking, do some hiking. Stop watching YouTube videos. Get out there. Unless they're my videos. Then watch them all from start to finish. Later.